Welcome to Atlanta Braves Chop Live, and this is Sean. We have a special guest, Daniel Brooks, a pitcher with the Florida Complex League. Daniel, you want to say hi to everybody?
Going on?
All
How's it
right.
going?
Thank you for joining us. And
Yeah, thank you.
so I first met you, I met your father at the Florida Complex League just a few months ago. You're pitching against the Tampa Bay Rays FCL team, and I was like, man, he's real big, real tall.
Yeah.
And so before we get into all that stuff, so tell us, where are you originally from?
So I was born and raised, and actually went to college in Charleston, South Carolina, which is where I'm at right now.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you grew up there, and you want to tell us how you began in baseball? Was it like a T-ball experience? Is it something that your family was involved in, or?
Well, my family is a huge sports family. Like even my mom, I mean, she had an opportunity to play college basketball, but she didn't. So I grew up playing baseball since I was younger. They kind of just put all the balls in our hands, like baseball, basketball, football, soccer ball, everything. So I was
Oh,
playing it since I was young.
okay. Did you have any T-ball experience? You remember that at all, or?
Yeah, I do remember it slightly. Not really.
Yeah.
I have one memory of it, and it was in a grass field, but that's it.
I always ask when we do interviews about the T-ball experience because I remember a few of those experiences myself. And I mentioned before
Yeah.
previous interview I did that actually have my T-ball baseball team photo and actually the whatever individual photo as well, going back to T-ball. So you grew up
Yeah.
played a little bit of T-ball and
Um,
so what sports growing up? What was your remember the next stage you got into? I guess first did you do coach pitch league or?
yeah, I think it was coach pitch or it was machine pitch and then coach pitch. And then after that it goes into kids versus kids. Um,
How was that with that I've never experienced that the machine pitch. I think our the league I was in tried that for a little bit but it just didn't work out so they did the coach pitch slash kid pitch eventually. So and
it's a different machine they use for that machine pitch than they do today. It was like a robotic arm, like you pull something
oh
back
yeah, yeah.
and it's like a catapult and it shoots the ball forward. It's weird.
And you got no way, no idea where that thing is going, and
Yeah, exactly.
and you got the other machine just drop, and the two wheels just kind of shoot it, and it's got no idea
Right.
where that thing's going as well. And so you said
Yeah.
you played multiple sports, and was there a particular sport that you enjoyed more growing up, or is it mostly baseball that you enjoyed?
Basketball, actually, for the longest time, I thought I was going to choose basketball for when I got to college until I got to high school and baseball kind of just took off. But I thought I was going to play basketball in college when I was younger.
Yes, I mentioned earlier to get started that I saw you like, wow, you're tall. You want to tell everybody how tall you are?
Yeah, I'm 6'7". I used to tell everybody that I'm 6'8", but I realized I got to stop lying, and so I'm really 6'7.5". But
Well, how tall are you with your cleats?
I mean, maybe with my cleats, I'm 6'8", but
Yeah, sometimes you see those like you'll see different little stats, and sometimes you'll hear the announcers kind of joking around as they're reading during the ball game. You know what players'
yeah,
weight is and what their size is, and no, Joe Simpson, he says he jokes around a lot about that. See somebody who, I mean, it says they're 6 foot tall, but he talks about with it, with their extra whatever, with real tall cleats, maybe they're
yeah,
6 foot tall. But so
exactly.
when did you get your size? Was it like were you always tall growing up playing baseball and the different sports, or you just kind of shoot up a particular age range?
I mean, I was always pretty tall, like the taller people in my class, like grade or class. But I really started getting taller my seventh and eighth grade year. I grew 3 to 4 inches a year. So I think I was 6'2" in eighth grade. And then
Wow.
by the time I got to high school, I was 6'4", 6'5". And then throughout high school, I grew an inch every year until I
Oh,
got to where
wow.
I'm at. Yeah.
Wow. So what position in basketball or did you just play like did you actually play organized basketball?
Yeah, I played basketball in high school. We were pretty good my last 2 years, but I was a center and power forward, and I loved it.
And then you said you played baseball and what was it the other sports you played as well?
like football and soccer and all those were like when I was younger until I stopped playing that at probably like 10, 11 years old.
Okay, so
Flag football.
let's
Yeah.
kind of go in like your ages of somewhere around 10 to 14 or whatever those. Did you play like in the organized league or did you play any travel ball? I interviewed Connor Essenberg earlier, and he mentioned that he played travel ball. They didn't have like an organized league, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting because when I grew up, that's what they had. They had organized league. They didn't have travel ball. So, did you
Yeah.
like travel ball or like an organized league?"
Well, baseball, I played travel ball. The other sports, just an organized league. Middle school, I'd play for our middle school team for basketball. And we didn't have a football or soccer team, but I played basketball for our school team. So it's like organized, I'd say.
Do you have any favorite moments from that period of time, like your whatever, like when you're playing 11, 12, 14, 15, that you saw yourself liking a particular
For,
position in
for
baseball?
oh, baseball.
Yeah.
Uh, 12 to 14. I mean, I have a I remember going to Cooperstown when I was 12. That was a memorable experience with my dad. We went on a road trip, stopped by, that was the first time I've ever been to where he grew up at. And so that was kind of cool to see. And then we stopped in New York City. I've never been there. And so we kind of made our way up to Cooperstown. But then, I have memorable experiences like performances. Like I remember one time around 14 years old, we had this tournament that we won, and I hit the walk off. It was a walk off double, and we won the tournament. So like I remember that. Um, I don't really think. I mean, other than those type of winning experiences, or like we perform well, like just I remember traveling to Fort Myers all the time and going down to Florida to play in big baseball tournaments. So those
Yeah,
were always memorable.
I'm here in the Orlando area, so they used to have a lot of baseball tournaments
Yeah,
at Disney would come down here each year and have different competitions. And
right.
so how was it doing that travel ball? Was that something that you did like that lasted a few months, or was that year round or?
Travel ball was during the summer. I only played fall ball, which I wouldn't recommend to younger kids a few times because it really doesn't do much. And I think that you need to cycle through sports as long as you can. Like, don't play baseball year round. In terms of like, you can still work on baseball, but I think playing other sports helped me out tremendously. But I played a few times in the fall. Baseball was normally during the summer because I would play basketball in the fall and in the spring. And then when that was over, baseball kind of took over.
So was there anything that you remember about going to Cooperstown that you really saw that you remembered you liked?
The
Because
fields were small.
yeah, well, you grew up in South Carolina, so was
Uh,
there a particular baseball team that you really liked, or you're just like a multiple, you more of
yeah,
a player type person?
we went with a team that I liked. I liked a lot of kids, and it's kind of like so. I'm a Christian now, and I never went on a retreat till I was in college. But it's kind of like a retreat in a way because you stay in these log cabins,
Hmm.
and you're with a group of guys, and you're all just hanging out, and it's just you eat in a dining hall sort of area. Um, but I mean, I just remember the ceremonies. I remember the trip. The trip up there was probably the most fun. But playing in Cooperstown was great because the guys. And there's always the quote that says it's not about what you do, but who you do it with. And I think that's why it was so memorable because the guys I played with were awesome. And then just my spending time with my dad when I was younger, um, they were good memories for us.
So you went to Cooperstown. It wasn't vacation. You were actually playing travel ball then.
Yeah, it was travel. It's that big Cooperstown tournament that you go to. I think it's only you can't go after you're 12 years old, but
Okay,
yeah,
pretty
it
cool.
was for baseball.
And then around that age, what position were you playing at that age?
Every position,
Every.
third, first, catching, pitching. I played everything. I maybe played outfield a couple times.
Mhm.
Yeah, I played
So,
all of them.
so what age did you start honing on liking pitching, or did you think that was your niche?
Probably around my junior year in high school, senior year. Junior year, I would say I started honing on
Okay.
really hard.
So then in 10th grade, tell me about that transition from 10th grade to 11th grade. What were you doing in 10th grade? And then how did that switch come up in the 11th grade?
So I've always been like it was always my goal to get drafted out of high school, which didn't end up working out. Um, but I started training for it. So my basis of training was CrossFit for like 3 years. And so like I always loved working out. And so my sophomore year we got put into this new gym locally and it was around sports performance. Like that was their ideology. And I met this guy there named Michael Carpin and he kind of trained me for a couple months there physically, like trying to get me moving faster and how to use power and all that stuff and how to get stronger and use your strength the right way. And so eventually he told me that he played baseball at Georgia, played baseball at all these places. He had TJ as well. And he told me, he's like, hey, like, if you want, I can show you some of the things I know about pitching. I was like, I mean, sure. And so after I started working with him, I fell in love with pitching because I got better at it. And like, no one likes something when you're not good at it, you know, like, that's like if you take your kid to play football or something like that, or like for example, my fiance, like when I took her the first time to play basketball, she wasn't good at it. She didn't want to go back, but she enjoys it a little more now because she's gotten better. Same thing with pitching. Like the better you get at it, the more fun it is. And so that's kind of what ignited my passion because I was throwing 78 miles an hour my freshman year.
Hmm.
And then my sophomore year, I was sitting 83 to 86. And then by the time my junior year came, I was 90 to 92. And then senior year, I was 93, 95, 96. Um, and so that's kind of what ignited it in my heart, my passion for it
So you said
is,
you did have the you did have surgery.
yeah, I had surgery in college though. So
Okay,
that's why it
you want
played
to
a
share
factor later on.
you want to share that experience that you went through and how'd you come to a realization of it and how'd you go through that?
That's funny. I was just sharing this story with this high school I went and spoke to today, but we were about to play Virginia Tech opening weekend, and I was set to start on Sundays. My freshman year, I started on Saturdays, dealt with some injuries, some mechanical things. But uh, my arm was feeling solid. I did feel this little burning sensation in my forearm, but I didn't think anything of it. And like my last outing before this opening weekend versus Virginia Tech, I had 5 innings, 10 Ks. I was back to 90, 93, 94. Like my arm was getting healthier. This was prior to surgery. And then the next day after that outing, I go and pick up a baseball with one of my buddies and I start throwing it. And I just feel like this, it feels like something's missing, even though it wasn't, but it just felt kind of empty and painful. And I was like, this isn't right. So I go talk to my coach, say I probably need to get this checked out. And so we get an MRI that week. And I tore like 60% of my UCL. So they told me I need to get surgery. And it was kind of an eye opener for me because my whole life I worked at baseball. And so you kind of when that gets taken out of your life, you got to figure out like who you are and like what like you kind of ask questions like what's life about? And that's where Jesus really came into my life is because it answered all the questions I was looking for. And it was more sound and reliable than any other truth I've heard. And so that's kind of started my true pursuit and relationship with Jesus then. Um, and it was tough walking through it, but also I was joyful at the same time because of this. I found what I was looking for because growing up in the South, you go to church, you hear about all this stuff, you hear about people sharing Bible verses with you. But until I realized that Jesus was specifically pursuing a relationship with me personally, it didn't click for me. And so this injury actually helped me out in a lot of ways. And it made the process a lot, a lot better.
So what year did you become a believer as far as your age?
So freshman year, I was 19 years old, almost 19, but nothing in my life changed. Like it didn't click for me, and like I grew up like you walk into church and you see people who say they're Christians, and then you go out and everybody's living the same as everybody else. I'm like, well, is that what Jesus is really about. And so I didn't really learn, like, I didn't have a breakthrough till I got hurt because baseball was, quote, an idol in my life. I worshiped it more than I worshiped God and I worshiped myself. So it was a big breakthrough. And I still did have disappointments because it took me 24 months to get my velo back fully. So it wasn't quick for me either. So there were still some frustrations apart in it, but it was nothing that ever shook me because I felt like I was standing on a solid, firm foundation.
Nice. Now you said that when you had your surgery, how old were you when you had your surgery? Because you said it was about 2 years later before you get your velo
Yeah.
back.
20 so it's 2023. I had my surgery, so I was 20 years old.
Okay. And so you hope to get drafted out of high school. That didn't work out. Did you ever see any scouts in high school
Oh
around
yeah.
or whatever you?
I could have gone anywhere from the first to the fifth round. And when I had my senior year, like I was throwing bullpens at like 94, 97, and one time I hit 99, but I could never do it consistently. And
Mhm.
so when I got out there, I had good outings, like outings where I was 94, 90 or 90, 94, hit 95, like no walks, strike out a lot of people, no runs. But then I'd have outings where my velo would drop 88, 91, and I'd give up a little more hits. And so my senior season didn't go the best. And so that kind of pushed my draft stock down. And so that was one of the bigger disappointments I would say coming out of high school, but God ended up using it um, for good was that because like everybody was telling me like for sure you're getting drafted like latest 5 round, maybe like probably go before that. And they gave me a certain amount of money that I asked for, and I asked for it a lot, but I was a little more greedy, but also I feel like it happened for a reason now because I also met my soon to be wife in college as well. And she's amazing, so that's awesome. But yeah, it was a huge disappointment, and I tell people this now because it's a very humbling. It embarrassed me, but I've always heard that you only get embarrassed if you have pride, and I definitely have pride, and I was embarrassed because I had a lot of people over my house on draft day because again, like everybody told me I was getting drafted, so like I was sitting there and watching round by round, not hearing a phone call, um, and I just ended up not getting drafted. I went to college. I was disappointed for a couple weeks, but then by the time I got there, I was excited and ready to start something new. So that's kind of how that worked in high school.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because different people have different different memories of something that got drafted. Like some didn't even know. I already interviewed two people that said they had no idea they were getting drafted. One person found out from
Really?
one found out from their mom that they were getting drafted because she was Landon Harper. He's with the Columbus Cleanstones. He said that he thought he was going to get drafted, but wasn't sure. Didn't hear anything. Then his mom was looking on the laptop of the draft. And she said, "You got
Yeah.
drafted by the Braves."
No way.
And then also Connor that we just interviewed, Essenberg, he said he had no idea either. He said, I guess this agent or friend or whatever contacted him and said, congratulations, you got drafted by the Braves." That's pretty,
Yeah, it's
that's pretty funny. So
the
tell me about the
draft's weird how
experience
it
of
works.
you were in high school. Tell me about the experience of going into where you want to go to college and how that experience worked out where you settled the place at college that you got into.
Um, so it's fun. It's kind of funny, but looking back, it's just kind of cool how again, like God uses everything for good. But like I picked CFC was my first offer, and to be honest, I know Coach Holbrook, if he ever saw this, probably wouldn't like it. But I didn't really want to go to CFC.
Mhm.
Um, in the beginning, not because the coaches were bad and not because the program was bad. I just grew up here my whole life.
Mhm.
I told my dad, like, I never want to go to College of Charleston. And they were the first ones to offer me, and the coaches were really cool. I liked all of them, but I just didn't want it. I got a couple more offers after that. It was my sophomore year. But me being super young and just like super, I guess, wanting validation, like yes, I did have faith like in them, but I would say a lot of the motivation was I just wanted to be quote committed. if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so I chose them. It wasn't the best motives to start with, but I wouldn't trade my college experience there. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Um, and so I kind of chose it prematurely, but it ended up being one of the best decisions ever. And the funny story is, my fiance, Caitlin, um, her parents went to College of Charleston, and Caitlin told her parents that she never wanted to go to College of Charleston too, and she's like, "I'm absolutely not going there." And so it's just kind of funny that she ended up going there too, just like, and we kind of have a similar background story to that. And then um, we met through FCA here, but uh, yeah, that was kind of like my background on choosing that. Um, and I again, like, I loved my experience there.
So how was it the transition of pitching in high school and pitching in college? Did you see the big difference and how was that experience there?
Uh, To be honest, like when I was a freshman, like it was exciting. Like I remember the feeling of my first start. Like I was super amped up, just different, a little more fans, bigger stadiums than high school. CFC's is not like a SEC stadium, but like still a bigger stadium than high school, you know. Nice field. And so I would say it was really exciting, but a lot of people told me like for example, my freshman year, like I dealt with some shoulder injuries up and down just because of my mechanics, and I knew that it was mechanical, and I knew I wasn't throwing the right way because once I got to college, I couldn't work with the guy I was training with anymore, and Michael Carpin, and I kind of lost sight of my delivery because he really helped me um, kind of figure things out in high school. And our pitching coach at CFC, Dorton, I love him. He's very smart, great guy, great coach. Uh, but Carpin just knew my body really well because I trained with him for 3 or 4 years. So when I got to college freshman year, I stopped working with him, and my velo dipped again in the spring, like 88, 91 a few times. I had some starts where I was back up 93, 95, hit 96. It's one gun to hit 98 freshman year, but I just dealt with some shoulder injuries, and a lot of people were saying that it was because, I'm nervous trying to get my foot dipped in the water. But when I walked on the mound, I just had confidence that no matter if there was a big leaguer standing in the box, a minor leaguer, or a college hitter, a high school hitter, it didn't matter. Like, I'm just going to compete. And I just felt not confident in my delivery. And so I had some starts where it wasn't like that. And I ended up getting some shoulder injuries. Or some tweaks, I guess, in my bicep tendon, whatever. But um, it was exciting for sure. But I definitely dealt with some difficulties in figuring my mechanical process out.
Now, one of the things about catchers, I was a catcher, like, just growing up 12 years old, whatever. And catchers have different philosophies, I guess you could say. And
Yeah,
you wonder how that develops with pitchers. Maybe, like I said, if you go to a Florida Complex League, you have about seven catchers on the roster there.
yeah,
And so how was it going to college? At the college, you probably only had what, two or three catchers there, probably? Yeah.
yeah. I think about three,
And
three.
then the different philosophies are like, hey, we threw the fastball, they're way behind it. Let's keep throwing it again till they can get on it, right? But when you go player
Yeah,
by player, and then you have the different philosophy of a catcher, like, well, we don't want them to time the fastball. So they missed it.
yeah,
Let's go ahead and throw the breaking pitch that throw them off because they're already off anyway. Maybe they're looking for the fastball. And
yeah.
so can you explain that a little bit? Not giving any secrets away, but just that when you're into college, that transition of, the mindset of a pitcher when you're going through that transition of high school and going into college and working with some new catchers perhaps you've never worked with before.
I mean, it's definitely like, as a pitcher, you want to find a catcher that you're comfortable with. But in the game, like our pitching coach called everything. So we didn't really call anything. So it was kind of left up to him. Um, and like, you don't really want to shake off your pitching coach. Um, unless you really know, but I could say that I'd never have shaken him off. And that's the difference in pro ball, like just being there for a few months now. It's like you call your own pitches because it's your career. And so it'll be left up to you, like what you want to throw. Um, and like I fully trusted our pitching coach in college and what he called. Um, because it's he again, like he's really smart at like reading swings and reading batter, so I trusted him. But it's kind of cool now to be able to, work off your process and um, kind of see it for yourself because growing up, like they don't really teach that anymore, like how to call it yourself. And so kind of like learning how to do that at pro ball is kind of fun.
Yeah, so that made it really easy in college, right?
Yeah.
You just go
Yeah.
in,
I was just like
makes it easy on
throw the pitch.
everybody. It makes
Yeah.
it
It was
makes
a
it easy.
lot easier.
Yeah, makes it easy on the catcher, pitcher. All right, coach, what do you want us to throw? Now,
Yeah.
you got into the Braves organization a very interesting way. You want to share how is it undrafted free agent? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that process work? And so you said you we're right currently we're in your sophomore year, right? So in your sophomore year, at what point did you start getting perhaps inquiries about the Braves about being an undrafted free agent?
Well, funny thing is, I don't think I ever got contacted by him. And so my junior year, like most of the scouts that still worked when I was in high school knew who I was because of high school. And so they were just reaching out to check on me and they were seeing if my velo was back, which it wasn't. And so I had a shot to go junior year, but my stuff wasn't back. I just wasn't like who I was on the mound. And then going into my senior year, like, you just get questionnaires. And so, like, I already had all the talks with them the year before. So I didn't really hear much. Um, and um, my velo started coming back. Like, probably like 3 starts or 3 times because I was a reliever at the beginning of the year just till my stuff came back. And so I started getting my stuff back 1993. Um, and all my stuff became sharper. And I was finally starting to feel like myself again. Um, and then after that was over, I went to the draft league and I was back 92, 94, hit 95 a couple times. And so I was really confident in my stuff. Um, and, like how I was throwing. But I know my coaches were huge advocates for me. They would reach out to scouts, telling them like hey, like he's getting back to normal shape, like velocity's coming back. And so they were they were two of the most impactful coaches I've had in my life, of my short life, 22 years. But they were a big impact. I also my surgery was done by the Braves doctor, so they just checked in, I guess, and were like, hey, like I guess how's his elbow? And so, I was just sitting there during the draft. I was hearing anywhere from the ninth to the 20th round. And I got a call in the 10th round. I thought I was getting drafted. And the Braves just told me, like, or my agent told me the Braves said that they would take me or sign me if I didn't get drafted. So I kind of knew if I didn't get drafted, even though I still wanted to, that I would be good and have a team that wanted to sign me afterwards.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because we interviewed Hayden Harris. When he got signed, he was just, yeah, he's currently on the Braves roster.
Yeah.
But he was sending out messages on LinkedIn to different scouts after he pitched, I think, the fifth year into college. And
Yeah.
finally, somebody from the Braves reached out and he got signed that way. So,
Wow.
yeah, so, and then they have that portal, I guess, that they mentioned that I keep hearing. I guess
Yeah.
when you were in high school, did you put your information on there and that way the scouts have your information and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
draft prospect link. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Is that something open to everybody or is that something only by invitation that you put that information in?
Yeah. Invitation.
Oh, okay.
Once the first team invites you, then you have a invitation to sign up and get a account, and so then whoever else quote invites you will just be able to send you a questionnaire to your account on there.
Okay, that's cool. That's something that you
Yeah,
really don't hear much about, like on the day to day, fans, they watch the game, they listen to the radio broadcaster. But this is why I love these interviews behind the scenes because these are things that, normal, unless you're a junkie as far as every single aspect of the game, you'd never even hear about
yeah,
that stuff, right? So tell me
yeah.
about when you got drafted, when you got signed with the Braves and how was that process?
It was amazing. Like at first, like my dream was to get drafted, and so it didn't happen the way I thought it would, but it happened the way God knew it would happen. And so I get signed, and like I'm kind of caught in this like confliction that I get drafted, but also excited that I have the opportunity to play. And after that faded, I was just excited to go down there, excited to start the journey. And it's something you dream about when you're a kid, and you get there, you see all the facilities, see all the gear, um, and um, you see all the players, and you start going to the practices, and the food, and it's all just it's awesome. Like it's awesome being in that environment. Like definitely a dream that I've dreamed them since I was younger. But the funny thing is, to be quite honest with you, is I don't want to like elevate it to to a kid. Like after probably my first month there, like it's still a blessing. Like it's a blessing to be there, but it's just normal life. Like I think that we can put being a professional athlete or put these people who reach this status in life on a pedestal, but in reality, like they just still deal with the same things everybody else does, and they're not any more special than someone who's working a desk job or someone who's um, a dumpster man. Like it's may seem better, but it's still like normal life. And again, like definitely a blessing, extremely grateful, and it's a dream come true. But uh, I think it just goes back like it's still just not it's not as fulfilling as being in a relationship with God.
Mhm.
100%. Some kids like some I went to Erskine College a couple weeks ago because my trainer started working there as a pitching coach. Um and so I went and met all the guys, and they're coming up and asking me like dude, like how is it? And I'm just like, and I'm honest, like I'm being 100% honest, like it's awesome. It's great, but it's not as fulfilling as knowing Jesus.
Mhm.
100%. I can promise that to anybody.
Amen to that.
Yeah, I can promise that.
They when I first went down, do you remember? I think when I saw you, I met your dad, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Man," and I said that must be his dad because he's got a nice camera. Good photos. So I went up and introduced myself, and so we talked briefly. And there's pretty much the only people there are like probably friends and family because it was
Yeah.
like you are supposed to play at the Braves facility,
Yeah.
but then word came down that the grounds were wet, whatever, and they moved it, I guess, to Tampa.
Yeah.
And I was it was only like 20 or 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so I got there a little bit late. I was coming with my daughter and her friend. And so
Oh,
we got in there, and it was about halfway through by the time we got there with the traffic and all that. And I mentioned
yeah.
that I know Adam Wood, the hitting instructor there, down there.
Uh,
And so I'm looking around like, man, this is nice because you can go all around the stadium.
yeah.
There's like nobody. We got a foul ball. I gave it to my daughter,
Oh, that's sweet.
and so I saw when you came in the pitch. I talked to your dad briefly, and it's kind of neat because you see, I saw like the 2024 number one draft pick. That was Cam Keminiti there. I
Yeah.
actually met his father at the Florida Complex League when he pitched. Me and him were the first ones into the gate to get in,
Yeah.
and I said, so where are you from? He said, well, I'm here to. He mentioned where he was from. He said, I'm here to see my son pitching. It's pitching today. I said, oh, what team? He said, the Braves. His name is Cam Keminiti. He said, oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
And then you had
That's cool.
the other number one draft pick, Tate. I can't even pronounce his name, the shortstop.
Yeah. South
Dude,
Scene or something like that.
there you go. So I was like two number one picks in the same spot for the Florida Complex League. That's pretty neat. And
Yeah.
so when you went down there, what do you remember that game at Tampa that you pitched?
I do. Yeah.
So that wasn't your first. Was that your first game that you pitched there?
First game versus another team.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so I remember you have the revolving. I think they call it I forgot the terminology, but revolving coaches, whatever the case is, they kind of come in and stuff. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you see Terry Pendleton down there.
Yeah. I
Um,
think he was down there.
yeah, and I saw him there. I saw him back in Columbus, Georgia, where I'm from, when
Uh,
I'm gonna cover the Clean Stones.
yeah.
Also,
That's cool. I didn't know you were from there.
yeah, and then you have Brian Snicker. He's going to be doing that job as well.
What job?
Revolving, just the same thing Terry Pendleton's doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so his position now is going to be going when he wants to. He determines his hours, but he's going to be going out to the rookie league, the different leagues to see the players as well.
Yeah.
That's his new position he's going to be getting. So that'll be interesting. And
Yeah.
so tell me about that game. I know that I was listening to the chatter of the coaches, and they were very impressed. I didn't well, wasn't listening to every word, but I know they were very impressed with you pitching, and you struck out a couple of guys there. So you want to share
Yeah.
that experience there, facing players for the first time at the Florida Complex League?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting, fun to have the Braves jersey on, your name and your number on your back, um, and to be on a to be on a professional baseball field was just fun. It was fun being out there for, and like they're trying to make me more into a reliever now. So coming out of the pen was a little different, but um, it was fun. And then going out there, like it's like nothing changes on the mound really for me. Like, at the same time, like if Ronald Acuna Jr. was in there or somebody else, like you can't be scared just because they're a big leaguer, because then they're definitely going to hit off to you, Like, yeah, they may be able to get the best of you, but you can't like cower down. You have to stand up and be ready to go and have the confidence in yourself. And so I said that because like even though it was professional and now there's professional hitters, and whether they were young, been there for a couple of years, it doesn't matter when you're on the mound. Like you're just competing and trying to be your best. There's a verse that I resonate with a lot that has convicted me lately. That's Colossians 3:23, which is not a direct quote, but it's whatever you do, work mightily for the Lord. And essentially, it's like like give 100% to everything you do, and that's all you have to worry about. Um, and so that's kind of what I think about when I go out there. And I had a blast. I threw I think 2 innings and I had 4 strikeouts and one walk and no run. So it was fun. And it's just pitching. It's baseball. So that's just kind of how I think when I go out there.
Yeah, so that's your first official save because I think the final score was 4-1.
Yeah, it was.
Florida Complex League.
Yeah.
And well, Daniel, I want to ask you just a few more questions and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Who would you say that's been a huge influence in your life growing up that you kind of give credit to where you are today?
I mean, that's kind of hard. Um, I will say I've had a few people, but obviously my dad has been very present in my life. He's shown up to every game for the most part. He's maybe missed 1 game or 2 games my entire life, and he's shown up to a lot of practices, probably more than I've wanted him to. When I was younger, uh, but he's always been supportive of me in this dream, and so baseball wise, he's always been there for me. But I would say a couple of life mentors that I've had and where I'm at today. One of them being Michael Carpin. He's mentored me in a lot of ways. He's helped me gain confidence in myself on the mound. He's taught me that. And then I've had 2 others that were Michael Steele and Will Kendrick, who have made me have confidence in Christ, that make me have confidence on the mound. Because pitching and hitting, but baseball can be very, we know, is mental game. And so when you go out there, it's very perfectionistic. Like I'll tell Caitlin, like I get off and let's say I had a good outing, but I didn't throw as hard as I wanted to. And I'll be upset because I did something good, but then I didn't do something bad, or then I did something bad that I didn't like. And I'll be like, oh, I did good. And she's like, you need to get over that, like, and enjoy just throwing a baseball. And I'll do the reverse where it's like, okay, I threw hard today. Like my velo was good, but my stuff wasn't there. I wasn't as accurate. And so it's just like this constant measuring. And so I think the confidence in Christ comes into where it's like, hey, like I'm not trying to, like, yeah, I'm trying to win the game. I'm trying to pitch well. But more than that, I'm trying to glorify God. And how I do that is giving the best into every pitch, because the result, as the statistics show us, doesn't always go our way. In fact, more than not, it doesn't go our way. And I think getting to the mindset of, hey, like I got to throw a baseball today. Like I'm healthy, I could throw a baseball today. Like that's I think that's where those two guys have helped me get is really my realizing my identity is not in my performance, but it's in Christ. And Jesus obviously has taught me that too through his word. But I would say that those four people have been the biggest impact on my life, one not being more than the other, you know?
And is there a particular Bible verse that you hold on to be your life verse, or is there one that's encouraging to you through this journey through baseball?
Um, I mean that Colossians one big, but I would say my life verse, and this is because it's the first one I memorized, but it's so true. It's John 8:12. It says, I'm the light of the world. Those who follow me will not walk through darkness, but will have the light of life. And Jesus is saying this. And I love that verse because it's a verse about not being scared to carry the light into the dark places. And what that means is it's not pampering people and telling them what they want to hear. It's not just being like nice to them and affirming something that they're not doing, but carrying the message of the gospel and the hope, which is, that Jesus loves us, sin separates us from God, but since Jesus died on the cross, we are now reunited to God through his sacrifice. And if we accept that, we can have a relationship with God. And like that's the message um, that I just carry with me because at the end of the day, when life's over and I look back on my life, anything that's not built on the foundation of Jesus will be forgotten, and anything that's built on the foundation of Jesus will be remembered forever. And so, like, I was asking this question today. It's like, can you remember who your great 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 grandfather is, or even your great great grandfather or grandmother? Know their name, what they did? I mean, I only knew my Gigi great grandmother, um, but beyond that, I have no idea. And my point was just like people are gonna forget who you are, what we did. The only name that lasts is Jesus's, and that's kind of why my life verse is I'm the light of the world. You know.
Nice. Well, last question. What is your favorite baseball movie and why?
Huh. Honestly, I'll go based off of what I've watched the most. It's called Rookie of the Year. It's with this kid who gets hurt. Have you seen that?
I think there's yeah the about the I think there's two versions of it. So I'll let you go ahead and share which one.
Okay, I didn't know there's another one, but that's good that you
I know
said
you
that.
have Rookie of the Year where you have the guy who was a coach and then he got back in. I might get the title messed up, but Rookie of
I've
the
never
Year,
seen that one. Hmm.
yeah. But there's based on a true story. I forgot the title of it. But as a pitcher, he got injured, and then he starts. I'm not even sure if it's Dennis Quaid is in there.
I don't
But the
know.
pitcher gets hurt, and he's teaching these high school kids how to play, and he's throwing the ball, and they're like, "You're throwing so hard," and they end up winning the championship. They said, "If you win, you have to try out," and he actually tried out and actually got signed by by a team to play professional baseball.
Well, I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, I forgot the name of that movie. But so rookie, you said Rookie of the Year. That's your favorite?
Yeah, what that one and Million Dollar Arm Rookie of the Year is the one where the kid's like terrible at baseball. He gets hurt, and now all of a sudden he has this like electric arm. Start throwing 100. The Cubs sign him, and he just lives like his childhood dream while he's a child. It's kind of funny, but I watched that a lot when I was younger. And then the Million Dollar Arm is about I think two Indian kids, and
Oh,
they get scouted, um, and eventually signed, and that's a true story.
yeah, it's based on a true story as well. So
Yeah,
well, that's awesome, Daniel. I want to thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be sharing this pretty soon today.
yeah,
And appreciate your testimony. And I live, like I said, I live in Orlando,
yeah.
so it's about a 2 hour drive. But I make that drive on my day off to spring training. So for me, it's always exciting because I try to get as many photos to get out to the fans, the different
Yeah.
levels. And so we'll be seeing you during the spring training. And then, if you're still at the Florida Complex League, then we'll see you there as well. So I want to thank you
Well,
so very much for joining us.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, take care and God bless.
All right, you too.